Hi, I never know exactly when we're live, so I'll just say, hey, everybody, and welcome to Chef AJ Live. I'm your host, Chef AJ, and this is where I introduce you to amazing people like you who are doing great things in the world that I think you should know about. Today's guest is coming all the way from Australia, and she has a very special guest with her. Now, you're probably sick of me promoting my new book, so what I'm going to do is promote my last book, and the reason is today's guest actually contributed a recipe to the book that she's going to make live, the potato waffles. I actually tried to interview her once a while back. She was scheduled and the internet just didn't work. So I'm thrilled that it's working today and she's back. And her name is Sandy Pluis. It's spelled weird and she's going to talk about that. It's got those two little dots over the U like Haagen-Dazs ice cream, but she's amazing. She has a wonderful blog that she'll tell us about. Please welcome Sandy to the show. It's so nice to finally connect.
It is. Hello, everyone. Thank you for watching. Thank you for having me, Chef AJ.
Oh, we love you guys in Australia. I love the sound of all of your voices, whether male or female. It's like Dr. Fitzgerald, Dr. Mackay, Anya Cass, Spudfit. Love the. Do you guys know how good you sound to? Do you sound good to each other?
No, I think we sound bogan to each other.
Somebody said a different language, Fotoris Venedig. Do you know what that means? I don't know what language that is, but anyways, you've already got compliments on your shirt, so that's going to be great.
Yes, I'm definitely in the Loud Shirt fan club. I have several Loud shirts that I had to pick between today, so.
You know, I don't even know how I found you, probably because of your amazing recipe. And I'd love for you to tell us, did you invent the potato waffle? Because everybody's making them now.
There's much discussion between whether it was my husband or I, but I know that I have wanted to have like an alternative to hot chips for many, many years. And so was experimenting a bit and then just decided, well, we didn't want to eat hash browns from McDonald's anymore, and what could we make instead that was crispy and potatoey? And we just decided to squeeze a potato in the waffle machine one day, and it worked, and it was the best thing ever. So, and hopefully today I'll get to demonstrate two other versions of alternatives to hot chips.
Well,
I think they're called fries in America, though.
Yeah, you should be paid a lot of money for inventing that, because people, I mean, I've promoted it on YouTube and in my book and taught so many people, and so many other people are making them now, because what's great about it is you could even use it as a bun. I mean, you could do 2 potato waffles and that could be for your bean burger.
I do that regularly. I make them, and put, a bean burger between it, or spread hummus between it, hummus and salad. And I use it instead of bread because thanks to you, I've gone flour-free and loving it. So, yeah.
You know, I've tried it with the sweet potato, and it's not that it doesn't work, but it always sticks, whereas the Yukon Golds, they don't stick.
I agree. I have been able to do like a waffle with mashed sweet potato and a little bit of flaxseed. And it doesn't stick as much, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It depends on our waffle machine. Sorry, I'm all over the place with my talking. Our waffle machine is losing its non-stick, and so I'm finding it's starting to stick now, whereas before it didn't. So it might be time to upgrade the waffle gadget.
Well, you know, the thing is I think the non-sticks do really work well, but like you say, they have a shelf life, and the only way to extend it, unfortunately, is just to put a little oil on a paper towel and swipe it, if it's getting to the point where it's sticking.
Yeah. So I think that's nearly where our one's at. But yes, so the sweet potato doesn't work just squished with its skin, but with a little bit of flaxseed, I've been able to make a waffle. And it's more like a breakfast waffle, feels like a sweet dessert kind of thing. So yeah, and that recipe is on my blog as well.
Yeah. So tell us about your blog. When did you start it? Why did you start it?
I started it, I think it was 2010 or 2011, because friends had just commented to me, oh, you make such good food. It's different, but it's tasty, it's healthy. Why don't you write a blog? And so I played with it for a while, and I enjoy creating recipes, but at the same time I hate it, because when I'm in the kitchen, it's not half a cup of this, a teaspoon of this. It's like, throw a bit of that in, throw a bit of this in, a little bit of that, a little bit of that. Oh, it needs something else. So I do find that side of it hard, the measuring out what needs to go in a recipe, because we just eat so simply. It's like rice, beans, herbs, greens, some other veggies. So I find that I don't really need recipes, and I don't follow recipes, and I have been very slack with my blogging for the last few years because we just don't do anything flash.
I agree with you. That is the hardest part, is writing the measurements down, because I don't measure either. I don't measure the food I eat or the food I cook, but that's what people want. And I really hope there was a way I could encourage people to not need that so much. That's I think the beauty about going to culinary school, as opposed to taking an online course, because you really can learn that. You can learn to not measure by not measuring, by just cooking. The worst that can happen is maybe you don't like it, but actually that's a gift, because there was a motto in my culinary school: it's not what you can make, it's what you can fix. And if people are always married to recipes, they're never going to learn to cook, off the cuff or improvisationally.
Yeah, absolutely. I did hospitality training during high school and thought I wanted to be a chef. And so that's a bit of my background as well, is just learning to experiment in the kitchen instead of having to follow precise measurements. And I don't think I've ever really followed a recipe quite the way it's meant to be. When I look at something, I go, oh, that's an idea, throw the book away and do my own version of it.
That's right. Recipes are guidelines.
Yes, I like that one.
Yeah. And so, I find that the Yukon Gold is the best potato for this recipe. I've tried, the red ones were pretty good, but russets, not so much, because I think the skin is just too thick.
Too thick. I don't know exactly what varieties they would be here in Australia. I have found that some varieties work better than others as well. And we can get these ones that come in a little microwave bag, and I know it's plastic, it's not good for the environment, but they work so good. For some reason, the skin on them just seems to work perfectly in the waffle maker. So that's our preference for when we're doing the potato waffles.
The only problem is that you can't make so many at a time unless you have more than one waffle maker.
Yes. So when I have done this for our family, I will do them one after the other and then keep them warm in the oven, but they do lose a little bit of their crispiness then.
Yeah, there's nothing like them when they're just fresh out of the waffle iron. And I like to serve them with applesauce and red onion, because that's how I used to eat potato pancakes, which are fried in oil. And this is just the perfect substitute for potato pancakes, or what they call latkes at Hanukkah.
Oh, that's awesome. I like them with ketchup.
Yeah, no, they're good with everything. Beans on them. I mean, they can be good for anything.
That's awesome. I love hearing all the different ways that people have experimented with it. I find that just fascinating and really encouraging that people have taken this really basic, what I like to call a meal idea, and turned it into, oh, I put this on it, or oh, I put that on it. So
cool. I find that when I cook the potatoes and then chill them, for some reason, it just makes it crisper.
Yes, and that's what I did today for the demo. Let me know when you want me to start.
Yeah, go ahead, start the recipe, please.
I'm happy to keep talking if you want to.
Go ahead, start the recipe. Thank you.
All right, so what I'm going to do is I've got the waffle iron here, and I'm going to preheat it. And for best results, I find that making sure it's really hot when it starts helps with the non-stick factor and does make it a bit crispier as well. And what I'm going to do, for those who don't have a waffle maker and don't want to buy one just for potato waffles, I'm going to show an alternative as well. So I'll go and get my potatoes. I did microwave these ones in the bag that they come in from the supermarket. And I do find if I do that, I have to chill them because they come out a bit moist. And if there's moisture on the outside of the potatoes, they tend to stick as well. So these ones are quite dry, as you can see, because they've sat in the fridge overnight. If you don't want to buy ones in plastic, I'm a fan of the Potato Express bag. Throw them in, a few minutes in the microwave, and they're done. And they also come out drier than the plastic microwavable bag, so they're less likely to stick in the waffle maker. Now, while my waffle maker is heating up, I'm going to show you what I do for the alternative. I might have to move my screen down a bit so you can see me working here. Let's have a look. Okay, bring on clean kitchen tea towel. Open up. I can't see the screen, so I hope everybody can see what I'm doing.
Yep, we see you perfectly.
Good news. Potato in your tea towel. Don't use the dirty one. Give it a good squish. Turn your pan on so that that heats up as well. I've just got a stone pan here. I find these ones are fantastic. Non-stick, last ages, cook fantastic, evenly, all of that, what you want in a pan. As you can see, my potato is nice and squished, and I didn't have to use my hands. And when my pan's hot, I'm going to put that in there, and it gives a similar thing, but without the grooves that everybody wants in the waffle maker. And my waffle maker's still heating up. So while that's still heating and this is still heating, you have to excuse me, I don't have gas, and it's one of my pet peeves, but that's okay. Because I definitely prefer to cook with gas.
I find that you really need that skin, don't you agree, Sandy, for the waffle to not stick?
Absolutely. If you try and use them peeled, it just won't work at all. All right, my waffle maker's green light has gone on. So I'm just gonna get my potato, put it in. Oh, can you hear the sizzle?
Yep.
Oh, good. That means it's hot. Give it a squish. I don't squish it till it's all the way flat, or I find that tends to make it stick a bit more as well. And I'm going to leave that for about 10 minutes. I don't believe you can overdo them. You probably can if you left it there for half an hour or something. But the longer they tend to sit there, the crispier they get. And if you try and open it before they're done, the potato will separate and it'll definitely stick and be a disaster. Okay, and this one is hot now as well. So this potato that I squished, I am going to get off with this.
Sandy, Diane wants to know where you got your shirt.
In a cheapo shop here called Kmart, and I think it was the grand total of $5.
It's adorable.
I think it's the equivalent to what the Americans call Target. It's like a department store. It doesn't have groceries, but it's got electrics, toys, homewares, clothes, all of that kind of stuff. Okay, in my pan, there's my squished potato. And just because I can fit more, I'm going to do another one. There's something so satisfying about squishing a potato between a tea towel, and I don't know what it is. All right. And I'm going to let them sit there for a while as well and heat up.
What's the scene like in Australia with vegan? Do you have a lot of friends and family members? Or
My family is vegan. My immediate family, none of our extended family are. I do feel that the movement is growing quite a lot the last few years. It is mostly aimed, I feel, at mock meats, mock cheeses, which is great for the animals. It's better for the environment, but it's not necessarily good for people's health. But it's still good to see that movement growing. I guess it's a lot more socially acceptable now to say I'm vegan, whereas 13 years ago when I first went vegan, people had no idea what it was. So the movement's definitely growing. there's a lot of products available now that weren't before. So if anybody wanted to be vegan, it's so much easier now than ever before. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's healthy the way that it's done. Whereas when I first went vegan, you didn't have a choice. It was rice and beans and veggies. And I think there was one soy ice cream available on the market, you know, if you wanted that. So, yeah, there's lots of meetups and festivals and things that happen. So that's great too. And little cafes opening up around the place that have vegan options. And a lot of them will have an option that's healthy as well, which is wonderful. And I'm quite a loud person, as everybody who knows me knows, and I will go places and just ask, hey, can you do this oil-free? Or you've got this and this on your menu, can you throw that together and make a something? So I'm quite open when we go out, which isn't very often, about asking for what I would really like. So
what made you decide to go vegan and healthy vegan at the same time?
Well, thanks to Victoria Beckham, I was a big fan of her for many years. I had seen an article where it said she picked up the book Skinny Bitch and read that. So I went, oh, if she read that, I'm going to read that too. So I read Skinny Bitch, and funnily enough, I think it was 2 months before I read that book, which talks about ethical, environmental, and animal side of veganism, as well as some of the health benefits. And in the back of that book was listed Neil Barnard's book, Turn Off the Fat Genes. I had bought that 2 months earlier and hadn't read it because that always appealed to me, because my mother had always said to me, oh, you're just a big person, that's what this family is, you have to accept that that's your size. And well, I didn't want to be a big person. So obviously the book Turn Off the Fat Genes had appealed to me. And so after reading Skinny Bitch, I picked that up off the shelf and went, oh my goodness, there's an even better way to be vegan. So that's pretty much my story in a nutshell.
But you don't look big. You look kind of tiny to me.
Oh, thank you. So yeah, I wasn't always tiny. I definitely grew up bigger as a child. So yeah.
Hey, so you met some neat people in February. You want to talk about it?
I was a bit tickled pink and starstruck. I met Dr. Lyle in February when he was in Canberra. So I had a little trip down there to meet him and listen to him. I'm just going to turn these over and show you what they're like. Nice and crispy. Let me see if I can tip this up without dropping it. So this is the alternative for those who don't have a waffle maker. You can see it's real browned. I've left it in there quite a few minutes. The edges are crispy, this bit's crispy, and it hasn't stuck at all. So turn it over and do the other side. I'm doing a tiny, tiny little fry pan here, but this is an alternative way too to do more than one at once, which the waffle maker will only do one at a time, or if you have one of the big ones, 4 at a time. And I do tend to push these down a bit so that more of the surface of the potato sticks or comes in contact with the heat of the fry pan. And I'm not sure. Oh, look, he's perfect. Oh, I get so excited when they work out perfect. Okay, let me see if I can just move this to show you. Can you see my perfect little potato? I find with this waffle machine, it tends to stick to the top when it's done. I don't know why, you know, it's just its preference. But here's my perfect little potato waffle. He's crispy. He's just a baby potato, but you can do bigger ones. I love them. I love them. So crispy.
Oh, they're so good. That didn't take long at all.
No. And that's what I find if I preheat the waffle maker, much better results, and leave it there for a long time. Don't open it to peak. Do not get tempted to peak.
Absolutely.
And these are, yeah.
So Leanne is watching. Oh, I'm sorry. Leanna's watching from Australia. She's in Melbourne.
Oh, hello, Leanne. I'm in Sydney way. So.
And we have a question about if you can use the air fryer. Who wrote that? Let's see. Somebody asked if you could use the air fryer for this instead of the pan.
Yes, you can. I prefer the pan. I don't know why. I guess I chose the pan over the air fryer for this because I liked the way with the waffle that it gave the skin the real crispiness, whereas I feel the air fryer cooks it all the way through. And these are pre-cooked in either the waffle maker or the pan. So I find that the inside just got a bit too dry in the air fryer for my liking. Doesn't mean they won't work. Of course they will. You can squish them in the tea towel and they will still work in the air fryer.
Great.
So yes, these ones are done now too, both sides. Really brown, really crispy. Whoever needs to eat hot chips, deep fried in oil, no thanks. Not when you can have delicious potatoes like this that are actually healthy. So put them on just a tiny plate. I don't know if you can see well on my camera. The waffle, potato, and the two, we call them squished potatoes when they're done like that, because pretty much they're just squished potatoes.
Well, like I say, somebody needs to give you an award for inventing this because so many people make these and love these and are so good.
Oh, I'm so pleased that people like it, and it's just something simple. Like I mentioned before, I'm a fan of meal ideas rather than strict structured recipes. So the other thing that I wanted to show people, do we have enough time?
Absolutely.
Cool. So this is another hot chip alternative because, you know, that's my thing. I have cut a section of a butternut pumpkin. I'm not sure exactly what everyone calls them in the States, but it's this thing. It may just be called a butternut squash.
Oh, butternut squash, right.
Okay, so we do use some different words, but that's fine. So I just cut a section of it, the bit without the seeds.
Hey, Sandy, have you ever used leftover mashed potatoes to make potato waffles?
I can't get them to work in my waffle maker. I feel like they just stick. It's too messy. I've just never had a lot of success with it at all. I have done mashed potatoes and done patties on a pan, a bit like a bubble and squeak. And I think there's actually a recipe for bubble and squeak on my blog as well, just using some frozen veggies in with the mashed potato. But I cannot get it to work in this particular waffle maker that I have for some reason. And I think depending on the shape of your waffle iron might vary as well. This one has got triangle bits that poke up. I don't know what to call them. Whereas a lot of the other ones I've seen online have little squares. And so I don't know if because of the sharp edges of the triangles that the mashed potato doesn't seem to work as well. I don't really know, to be honest. That is my theory that I've put out there. So I'm going to chop this butternut into little fry sizes.
I think it's the kabocha squash. I think it's the kabocha squash that has a different name.
Okay. So we would, I think that, hang on, I'll see if I got one in the pantry.
And guys, if you Google her shirt, you can find it on Amazon.
Is that just this one?
Yeah, that looks more like a pumpkin. The kabocha squash is green on the outside.
Oh, okay. So this was called golden pumpkin in the shop, and you can get the same shape but with green on the outside, and we would just call that a pumpkin. We always call anything like this a pumpkin, but depending on the type of it, whether it would be like Jap pumpkin or Oh, there's another name that I'm just suddenly having a mind blank of. But so anything like that's this, we call pumpkin in Australia.
Nice.
I'll put that over there.
Do you know all the other Aussies like Spud Fit and Anya and Dr. Fitzgerald and Dr. Mackay? Those are the only 5 Australian people I know.
I know Dr. Mackay very well, and his partner, I was going to say wife, but and we have a little group set up here that isn't so little anymore. I think we're about 15,000 of whole food plant-based Aussies, and we connect that way on Facebook. And then we meet up when there's events, and we'll be like, oh, hi, I've seen you in the group, because Australia's so big. It's not like you run into people every day. All right, so I'm just chopping these into fry sizes, chips as we call them here. You can do big or little, whatever size is your preference. And then I'm going to throw them in a microwave tub. I know, tell me off for using plastic, that's fine. If that kills me, I'll gladly go out that way. I have a glass one, but it just isn't as big. So pop them all in a microwave tub, just a touch of water. I don't like to use too much, or I find they go a bit too soggy, because the pumpkin tends to cook a bit quicker than potato in the microwave. So I pop that in for 2 to 3 minutes, depending on your microwave. You want them tender, but not so soft that it's starting to mash. Okay, that can cook away. So yes, I met Doug Lyle, you asked before, in February, and listened to his talk about the pleasure trap. And I could listen to him for hours, and I could listen to his same talks over and over again and never get tired of them.
I know, he's great. So you actually got to talk to him then.
Yes, and I did take him a little bag of potato waffles.
Oh, that's adorable. You know,
I know he would have rather carrot cake, but I had flown in from Hawaii the day before, so I really didn't have time to make carrot cake.
the other thing he loves for some reason is he just loves watermelon. Maybe you can make him watermelon waffles.
Oh, have you tried watermelon on a barbecue?
I haven't, but I've tried dehydrated watermelon, which tastes like candy.
Oh, hello.
Hi, I can hear you and see you. Can you see and hear me?
It just cut out, so I didn't hear what you said then.
Oh, can you hear me now, Sandy? I wonder if she'll know.
Yes, I can now.
Okay, great. And also there's a chat box if for some reason.
Hello?
I never lost you. I can hear, we can see and hear you. So you can keep talking.
Oh, that's great. Okay. So yeah, I was saying you can put watermelon on the barbecue with a bit of tamari or just some chili powder, and it's phenomenal. It goes like a steak, and it actually tastes so good.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. A friend introduced me to that and made it for me for my birthday, and I was blown away.
That's so cool. So how are you making those fries with the butternut squash?
So what I'm going to do is, once they're in the microwave, I'm going to coat them in some smoked paprika, and then I'm going to pop them in the air fryer. So I'll preheat my air fryer. It doesn't take too long to warm up. No, we may run out of time, but they're 15 to 20 minutes in the air fryer, and they come out like little crispy golden chips, and they're really lovely.
That sounds great. Hey, can we meet Buster?
Yes, you can. Come here.
Wait till you guys see Buster. He is adorable. He's not who you think he is. I know what you're expecting, but he's not a dog, and he's not a cat, and he's not a koala bear, although that would be nice. That's my dream, to hold a koala bear someday.
But he is the Easter bunny. and say hello. This is Buster. He is the most placid male rabbit I have ever known. You're lovely, aren't you? And he loves to cuddle.
Oh, he's
Yeah.
on a rabbit so bad.
He's just lovely.
And he's vegan, right?
Oh, absolutely. And he loves being in this house because he gets about 1 kilo of veggie scraps every day. Don't you? You're a very well-fed bunny. When we took him down to the vet to get his shots, the vet said to us, he's the healthiest rabbit I've ever seen. What do you do? What do you feed him? And I said, he gets a bucket load of vegetables and just a little bit of biscuits each day. And the vet was very impressed and said so often even our animals are fed too much processed stuff. But not Buster. No. He's just lovely. He's my Thera bunny. That's what I like to call him, aren't you? Because you can't feel sad or miserable when you're holding a bunny like this. Now. There we go.
How much do bunnies sleep?
Yes, they sleep, but they sleep and they eat. They're so funny. He will completely plonk over and make the loudest thud and sleep deeply, or they sleep but their eyes are still awake, so they're in like a subconscious sleep. But yes, they do sleep.
What does he do for fun? Eat?
Runs around the pool. Our pool is fenced off, obviously it needs to be by law, and yeah, we let him have a run around there most afternoons, and he just loves it. And he's really good at weeding the garden, so that's really handy as well. As the weeds come up between the pool tiles, little boy eats them all.
I've always wanted a rabbit. We don't have to worry about making them be vegan because they already are.
Yeah, the cat didn't approve of vegan cat food either, so the cat's not vegan.
Did your husband go vegan at the same time as you?
No, he went at a different time, and I will pop Buster back and start these fries, and then I'll let you know about that.
Okay. Bye, Buster. I wish BJ was watching. She rescues bunnies. They're so cute. We have a lot of wild rabbits in the desert. Every night when we walk Bailey, we see mice and rabbits, and unfortunately scorpions sometimes, and not brown recluse spiders. What are they called? The wolf spiders. Those freak me out. But it's the desert.
Yes. We're not near the desert at all where we are here, but we get lots of creepy animals too. Our neighbour had a snake at one stage, and I was like, I'm not going into the backyard. I want to see a snake.
The bunnies are so cute when they have a litter because like there's so many of them.
Yeah. No, he won't be having a litter anytime soon. One's enough, but they are cute. All right, so my pumpkin, I'm just going to drain that little bit of water.
Ellison says, can I use a nonstick pan or oven or air fryer for the watermelon steak instead of the barbecue? I don't know because I've never tried it.
I suspect you could use the air fryer. It does work in the oven. Absolutely, it does work in the oven. I will put a picture up later on my Instagram and my Facebook page of the watermelon steak so that people can see how it works out and how it was made. Yeah, and hopefully that'll help people be brave enough to experiment. So here's my pumpkin in little cubes. I'm just going to get the smoked paprika. I like generously herbing things. Let me give this a toss around so that it's all coated.
What is your Instagram if people want to see that photo later?
It's Vegans Eat Yummy Food Too, and same with Facebook.
And it's TOO rather than the number 2.
Correct. Meaning not just omnivores get to eat yummy food, vegans do too. All right, I'm going to put this in the air fryer now.
Did you always live in Australia?
Yes, I was born here.
And does Buster eat pellets?
Yes, about a quarter of a cup every second day.
Does he like them? Does he like the processed food better than the fresh?
I have a story about calorie density that relates to my rabbit. If you take down to him cucumber or kale, he will gobble it up and be very content and eat a lot of it. But the moment you put an apple core in his cage, he wants that instead. The moment you put the end of a pumpkin, he wants that instead. And if you put the pellets in before the veggies, he will always go for the processed food first. He's just like a human.
That's what Dr. Lyle talks about in The Pleasure Trap, and people beat themselves up because they like the rich food. We're supposed to go for the richest calories. Animals are just as smart.
That's right. And if it's in his house, it's in his mouth.
You are adorable. You better tell Dr. Lyle that story. Actually, Dr. Lyle's the guest tomorrow at 3:00.
That's very exciting. And I saw you had John McDougall earlier today.
No, tomorrow at 9:00. Tomorrow is a big day. Yeah, I don't mean to ever do 3 shows, but when Dr. McDougall writes me and says, "Can I come on?" I mean, like, yeah. So we already had the 3:00 with Dr. Lyle scheduled. Dr. Hawk can't make it, unfortunately. And then 11:00 we have a lady from New York, Amy Hamlin, who knows a lot about how to make kids' school lunches healthier, or trying to get the schools to make healthy lunches. Oh, here's a question from Apple. What are Sandy's homemade yogurt tricks?
Oh, look at this. Yes. Homemade yogurt. I do this every week because I love it. I'll get a spoon and show you how thick it is. I have been making this for maybe 6 or 7, maybe 8 years. It's so thick, it works every time. I have a video on my Facebook page where I walk through step by step what I do. And I have I posted a while back written instructions, but I might work out how I can bump that and put it up the top so people can see it easily. I find for the yogurt, I need a soy milk. I cannot get any other milk to set, and I think it's because the protein content of the soy milk is much higher. I use the tiniest little bit of sugar, about a quarter of a teaspoon. I just use coconut sugar. Any sugar will work. I find without that, the cultures, the yogurt cultures, yes, they might go through the yogurt, but it doesn't thicken in the same way. This is quite tart, so it doesn't taste sweet at all when it's set. I leave it for about 14 hours, and I don't use an electric yogurt maker. I use one of the thermos ones. What other tricks do I do? With the soy milk that I use for this one, obviously it's no oil in it, but I use it starting from room temperature. Now, I think that would vary too in climates where the temperature is a lot colder, whereas here we don't really get that cold, even though I'm cold all the time because I'm just a cold person. So I think that would vary a bit too. And I just put the milk, that little bit of sugar, and a little bit of the culture in this, shake it all up, put it into my thermos, and leave it. I have read that the thermos says don't use boiling water, but I find it works better with boiling water in the thermos. I just pour the boiling water in, put it in for the 14 odd hours. If you get to about 18, 20 hours, it will start to curdle. And I've never had a batch that hasn't worked out. And if you as soon as you open it, you can get a scoop of the yogurt and save this bit fresh with a clean implement. So there's obviously no bacteria from things dipping in again and again. And you can use this spoon to start your next batch of yogurt as well.
That's really cool.
And
that's neat.
And I have that in my fridge as well at the moment.
Ellison wants to know if you ever had konjac noodles.
Oh, yes, I have, and I love them. They smell fishy, but I love them. And I use that as an alternative to, because I won't eat flour products, so I don't have pasta. And if my family's having, whole wheat pasta, I'll have the konjac noodles.
Yeah, I've never had them. I'll have to look for them. I've had the ones made out of hearts of palm, though.
Ah, yes. I just the other day bought some hearts of palm lasagna sheets to try.
I have those too. I can't wait to do something. I can't wait to see what you do with them. Maybe you'll put it on your blog, because I bought that too, but I don't know what to do with them.
Okay. I'll have to try and think of something fun. I find that Australia's a bit behind in terms of the products that America can get. It'll often take us a year or two until we go, oh, look, that's here. And all the Americans have been talking about it for ages. So this is my bit of yogurt that I saved. And I'll just use that bit to start the next bit. But I put it in a separate container so it's not getting, contaminated each time you use the spoon. I know it's all my own bacteria, but you don't want to grow that. And apparently that can kill the cultures and things like that. I don't know too much about the details of it. I just know what works and what doesn't. So that's my tip if you don't want to have to keep buying the culture all the time. But I find that after about 4 scoops from a batch, you will need the culture again.
Neat. So tell us what you eat in a day.
Okay, hang on. So I am addicted to a sweet potato breakfast bowl. It is my go-to breakfast almost every day, unless some outrageous thing has happened and I decide that I need oats, which sometimes happens too. But I always have some pre-cooked sweet potato in the fridge, in my little purple tub, of course, because purple is my favorite color. And I vary the color. And so that's my breakfast with some of my yogurt and some berries and sometimes a banana with some cinnamon, nutmeg. Very occasionally I might throw 1 walnut on or a teaspoon of flax. I'm cautious of calorie density, so I don't overdo those things. But I find that having nuts and seeds in the whole form is not triggering for me, whereas nut butter and seed butter tahini, I will not let in the house, because if there's a jar of peanut butter in there, I will sit and eat the whole thing. So there's no nut butter in the house.
I know what you mean. Once you process it, man, it's like crack. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Sherry wants to know what your original starter is when you're making the yogurt.
Let me show you which one we get here.
Yeah, that's true. She's in Australia, guys. So James, Chef James is watching. He's a guest on the 25th, and he said that he knows how to use those hearts of palm pasta. He makes a wild mushroom lasagna, and I'm asking him if he'll make it on the show. He's scheduled for Sunday the 25th. It sounds amazing.
That sounds wonderful. I was wondering if I soak them, if I could roll them and make like a rolled pasta dish. I will have to experiment and see what the texture's like before I can do that. But this is the yogurt culture I use, and it comes in just a little bag, and I don't know how to explain it. I'll show you. Where is it? So it comes in that bag. It lasts for about 2 years in the freezer. But once I open the bag, I just put it in this little tub and keep it in the freezer. You can keep it in the fridge, but I keep it in the freezer because it extends the life of it. And given that I'm reusing my spoon of yogurt, I want this to last longer. And it's just little powder, like a, yeah. I think you can buy non-dairy yogurt cultures pretty readily in other places. I buy this online from a place called Green Living Australia.
What season, what, I mean, I know it's the same month, it's still October, but you're a different season, aren't you?
Yes, we're spring, so it's starting to get warmer, and I'm so glad because I hate the cold.
Me too, that's why I'm in the desert.
Yeah, I would like to be in the desert. I don't know that my husband would want to come along, but yeah. So what were we talking about? Sweet potato for breakfast. Okay, and my lunch, I always have I did a post on this a couple of weeks ago as well on my Facebook page. I always have a massive salad, mostly raw with something cooked in terms of veggies for my lunch, and I always add something starchy. Sometimes it's potatoes, sweet potato, rice, legumes. I always add something creamy. Sometimes it's a little bit of tofu dressing I've made. Sometimes it's just like I'll blend white beans with salsa, and that's my creamy thing. Sometimes I'll add a little bit of guacamole and lots of herbs on top. And I always finish with a piece of fruit or 2 pieces of fruit if it's a little one. And I always have a cup of tea every morning and afternoon because John McDougall says I'm allowed to get a little bit of high from my tea, not coffee. I gave up coffee years ago, but I love my tea. And then for dinner, I make our family a meal, and often we have what we call the same but different. So, for example, they will have pasta with a big marinara sauce, and I'll have mine over zoodles or, I don't know, cognac or something like that. So we just have the same base, you know, it might be a big lentil bolognese, or we'll have stuffed potatoes and just have different dippings in, like things that we put on top of them, a potato bar or rice and beans. We make curries. So we always have a legume, a starch, and lots of veggies. And if their starch is one based on flour, I just supplement it for something that is the same but different. When they have burgers, I'll put mine in a lettuce bun, and they'll just have theirs on bread. So we always make it work, but I don't eat the flour products.
Do you use an Instant Pot or a pressure cooker?
Yes, I have a crock pot. The Instant Pot isn't readily available here. I think it's either recently just come out or about to. There's been a lot of talk about it. And I had a pressure cooker for many years, and the seal broke and then it stopped working. So just earlier this year, I got a crock pot, which is the same as the Instant Pot, but a different brand. So I don't know how they work by comparison because I've never been able to use the actual brand, the Instant Pot.
Diane says, do you have children other than Buster? And I don't remember the kitty's name that you showed me at the beginning.
Yeah, Buster and Sooty are my fur kids, and I do have a daughter. She'll be 16 soon, and she eats with us this way too. And yeah.
You look 16. How do you have a 16-year-old when you look 16?
When we go out, people look at us and hear us interacting, and then they'll say, "Are you her mother?" And I'll be like, "Yeah," and they're like, "Oh, okay." So I do get that a lot.
That's incredible. That's funny.
I'll just check the fries. Okay. So I didn't give these the usual shake around like I like to because I was too busy talking. That's me. But these are pretty epic.
Ellison is also in Australia and wants to know what brand of soy milk. Oh, wait,
Okay,
no, Ellison's not in Australia. Amanda's in Australia. Well, somebody here's in Australia, but anyway, they want to know what brand.
Okay, for the yogurt, I use the Vitasoy Protein Plus. The only brand of soy milk that I will use is Vitasoy because they use whole soybeans, not soy protein, not isolated, all of that stuff. But the one that I find sets best for the yogurt is the Protein Plus. All the Vitasoys do set of their soy milk, but that particular one is the best. I can show a picture as well if you'd like. I'm a very visual person, so I feel like sometimes being able to show people helps. I do believe the package has been upgraded since this one. This one's got a best before of just November, so it's probably been sitting in the cupboard for a while waiting to be used. But because I bulk buy them when they're on special. When they're on special, I'll be like, let's get 10. So yeah, but this one sets the best. And in terms of its ingredients, filtered water, organic whole soybeans, mineral, calcium phosphate, natural flavor, and sea salt. That's it. So yes, there's some salt, but it's minimal in terms of what's in it. I think too, the times I've used the regular Vitasoy light soy milky, because there's a little bit of sugar in the milk itself, you don't need to then add it to the yogurt. But because this one doesn't have the sugar, it's better to add just that tiny bit.
Did you look this young before you went vegan?
I'm not sure. I feel like since going vegan, I haven't really aged. I have aged a bit the last 5 years, but I don't feel like I had that big shift from 20s to 30s that a lot of people do. I look terrible first thing in the morning, trust me, and when I don't bother to do my hair or anything. But hey, doesn't everybody? So.
But isn't it first thing in the morning right now in Australia?
Well, I have to admit, I did wake up early to have this interview with you because I tend to like to sleep in, but it was worth it. So, but it's not, I mean, what is it now? It's just after 10 o'clock. So.
Are you an avid exerciser?
Yes, I am. I love going for a walk. I love yoga. I love sitting on my exercise bike upstairs when I watch my TV show. It's the only time I'll let the TV be on is if I'm on my exercise bike.
It sounds like we're twins. Everything you do, I do.
It's because you taught me.
What do you have the same shows in Australia, the same Netflix, Amazon Prime, or is it completely different programming?
We do have Netflix and Amazon Prime and Stan, but they do offer different things, we've found. It took a while for example, Forks Over Knives to come onto Netflix Australia, and I believe it's just been taken off as well. But we do get some things. I noticed that they did put Rip Esselstyn's Kitchen Rescue on Netflix. There's a few of the good health documentaries on there, but I don't think we get everything that you guys get over there.
Ellison wants to know, what is your favorite go-to dessert?
Just an ice cream.
Just wrote the same. I just typed the same thing in the chat. Are you sure we're not twins separated at birth? That's hilarious.
Maybe we were. Yeah, I don't do a lot of dessert. Sometimes, actually, our Christmas morning, I always make a big like apple crumble with oat topping and stuff like that. But generally, I'm not a dessert person. I'll just have a fruit or make the banana ice cream. Yeah. That's
When you
it.
eat
I don't really eat that fancy. I just eat.
Sweet potatoes are like eating dessert. Like I eat sweet potatoes every day for lunch, and I think it's just like dessert. Do you get the variety that we have, like the purple ones and the Hannahs, or do you just get the orange ones?
I will show you the extent of what we can get here.
And
oh no,
and are we allowed to ask your age? There's a question. I got to be very careful.
I'm not too far off 40, a year and a bit.
Oh, wow. Well, like I said, I'm sure that they always think you and your daughter are probably sisters.
I get asked a lot if I'm 25. So I think that might be, I feel like I look 35, but oh well, maybe it's a good thing. Maybe when I'm 60, I'll still only look 40. Oh, that would be cool. So we do get the orange.
Yeah, we definitely get the orange.
Yep. This white one has purple inside.
Oh, those are good.
Yep. And then this is the other one we get. It's like a purple skin and the inside is white. I think they call them red. that's the only 3 types that I've been able to find. But I do find that with these orange ones, you can get some that are darker and some that are lighter. And I think they've been called like orange sweet potato and gold sweet potato. So that's the only 4 types that I've been able to get here. I can't find, I believe there's a type that has purple on the outside and purple on the inside. And I ate them in Hawaii this year, and I'm just like, that is the best potato ever.
Oh,
and I was so disappointed that we couldn't get them back here.
It is literally like eating cake, the Hawaiian ones. The question from Caroline, does your daughter ever want to stray from being vegan?
I suspect she might. It's interesting how she finds the smell of meat and eggs off-putting, but she will love her vegan junk food if given an option. But then after a couple of days of that, for example, we were away last week and she was out and had a few things that she wouldn't have at home. And she came home this week and she's like, Mum, can you just make me salads for lunches, please? So I find that she enjoys the richer vegan food. And if she goes out with friends, she'll go and buy like, vegan churros with the dark hot chocolate, whatever dipping sauce, whatever. That's for her to sort out. At home, we eat like this, and that's fine. And she has actually a little snack box where I'll put like bliss balls and some things like that I don't want to be visible in the pantry for me, but they go in her little snack box and she'll take them to school. But she may want to in time. She hasn't expressed that she wants to stray from that. She's never said, I want to try this or this or this. I guess she's just grown up with it now for so long that to her that's, and she sees the meat in the shop and says, it looks disgusting. Why would anybody have that? And she had an experience when she was very young. She may have only been 2. And she had an ice cream from one of those Mr. Whippy shops, and it made her so sick. So she has never really felt like she wanted a lot of rich dairy products.
It's called Mr. Whippy Shop?
Yeah, I don't know what, like an ice cream van, the man that drives around and serves the soft serve stuff. I don't know what you would call it, but we call them Mr. Whippy.
I don't think we have it here with where he drives around, but I like that, Mr. Whippy. That's cool. So we have a question from Dina, what your exercise routine is like, and Ellison wants to know your skincare routine.
My skincare routine is very lazy. I wash my face each night with just a generic vegan face wash, and very occasionally when my skin gets dry in winter will I put some moisturizer on. And I'm very aware that I probably should moisturize my skin a lot more. Other than that, I don't do anything to my skin. I did find that even being whole food plant-based but having flour, my skin I'd have occasional breakouts, whereas now it's very rare that I have a breakout. And exercise, I alternate between enjoying either yoga or a walk in the morning. I do half an hour because that fits in with my lifestyle and my routine and is manageable long term. I love the morning walk when it's warmer. I get that bit of first thing sunlight. In the winter, I tend to do yoga. I've just gone back to dance this year, which I loved for many, many years. And I do that 2 times a week. And I don't feel like it's a very active type of dance. So it's just a little bit to help more muscles and strength, stuff like that. So I only do that 2 times a week. And then most evenings, I will either do a light weights session just to build bone strength and muscle strength, or like I said, sitting on my bike, watching TV, which I'm not a big TV watcher, but I found that just sitting there pedaling was so mindless that I couldn't do it. So I'll put on whatever series I'm watching and just watch one episode and sit on my bike and do that. I do try to increase my NEAT throughout the day. So I work at home a lot and I will work upstairs. So every time I want the kettle on or have to come down to the kitchen or use the bathroom, I'm running up and down the stairs. I find that helps me to not sit all day, which makes me feel really lethargic and can really make me feel really quite miserable. That's about it. I can't stand gyms. You couldn't pay me to go to a gym. And I'm not really in on anything big, just a bit more activity in our day, I think is what everyone could benefit from.
Absolutely. Well, you're living the healthy lifestyle and it shows. Did you show us what the fries look like from the air fryer?
No. And here we go. So look at these. They're just beautiful. I didn't get a chance to toss them, which I normally would, but I just love them. They're like a bit crispy on the outside, but the insides are so soft and tender.
Oh man, those look amazing.
So this is another alternative to hot chips. This is a great alternative for people who are allergic to nightshades and therefore can't do the potato in the fry pan or the waffle maker. This is a great alternative because the pumpkin doesn't work in the waffle maker either.
Wow.
But I just love these. And they reheat okay. I'll keep these and then just add them to my lunch. I'll just throw them back in the air fryer on a lower temperature for maybe 5 minutes. But they're wonderful. I love them. They're really nice with mustard on top.
Those look amazing. God, I want some now, but I can't get to the store to get them right away. Well, you're adorable. Do you have a YouTube channel at all?
No, I don't really like videoing myself. And I was so like, oh, I don't want to be on here because it's live and it's like a video, but I just did it. So.
Oh, you're adorable. I'll send you the download if you want to put it on your blog. You can, but I think you're great, and so does everybody. And you're just such a living testimonial to a healthy lifestyle. Barb says everything is better with mustard. My husband would agree with you.
I agree too. I do agree. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's my pleasure. Thank you for letting me use potato waffles in this book, and I'm so happy to see the creator actually make them.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Anything you want in the show notes, let me know, because I'm sure people want to follow you now on Instagram and Facebook and definitely your blog. All right. Well, thanks so much, Sandy and Buster. And thanks all of you guys for watching another episode of Chef AJ Live. And please come back tomorrow. We have a triple header, 9 o'clock, Dr. John McDougall, 11 o'clock, Amy Hamlin, and 3 p.m., Dr. Doug Lyle. These are all Pacific times. Okay. Good day, mate.
G'day. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.